Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawm ad-din wa ba'd. I would like to welcome you all to week 8 of our class of Ar-Rislah to Jami'ah, which is translated as the Essentials of Islam. And inshallah, we will continue. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Khadija.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Khadija.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are
How
you?
you do?
Apologies for being late.
Okay, yeah, we'll send the feed link in a few offline. There's a feed pay when you're late. Okay, mashallah. So we'll get started. How was everyone's week? Good?
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. All right. So inshallah, we'll start. Let's start. We have 3 out of you 3. There were 2 people who were attendees at the African American Summit last week. Y'all want to discuss that a little bit or get some reviews on it, or?
It was great.
Sister Khadija?
Alhamdulillah. It was really good. I was happy to see, the sisters that I'm always kind of talking and joking with, and to see them in that space, and then to have the energy of the speakers and the information that we received. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. All right, Sister Naila, were you able to check out any of the videos? Okay, inshallah, you get a chance.
Inshallah.
All right, so we'll review from the week before last, inshallah. Just a brief review. We covered the 6. I gave you the number. The obligations of wudu, the furud. How many are there? 6. All right, and out of the 6, how many of them are from the Quran?
6.
No.
No.
I think it's 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's 4 from the Quran, and the other 2 from what?
The
The
sun.
sunnah.
Okay. So what are the 4 obligations in the Quran?
Your face.
Mm-hmm.
The head, the arms, and the feet.
The face?
The head.
No.
The head. No.
It's the face, the hands to the elbows, the head.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what are the 2 sunnah ones?
The intention and in the order that you're doing.
What's the Arabic word we gave for that word?
Nia.
what?
Nia.
No, for the order.
Oh,
Tartib.
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 Yeah, to do it in order. Okay. So we mentioned 6 obligatory 6 obligations for wudu. All right, and the first one being the intention. What does the intention mean?
You mean the Arabic word or just in general?
Well, from what we covered in the last class.
And intention, it's in your heart. Like, you don't have to make it outward. You have to make the intention to perform that, to purify yourself for salat.
All right, yeah, right. But there were 2 other things that we mentioned. When does the intention take place?
In the beginning?
In the beginning or concurrent with the action? And what else should it be? The intention should be what?
Sincere.
Yeah, they always should be sincere, but it should be specific for the act of worship.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Okay.
you're right. I mean, I know
Okay.
you're right.
I mean, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, you let me know.
No, you're right.
Okay. All right. So we talked about the first obligation after the niyyah is washing the face.
Mm.
And what constitutes the face?
The natural hairline.
And then where the ear is.
All right. From where there's the normal hairline,
Mhm.
and between the 2 jaw bones, right?
Good job on that.
And from the ear to ear, this piece in the ear, but remember the name of it?
Tragus.
Yeah, the tragus. All right, so that constitutes the face. All right. So if a person doesn't have what's considered a normal hairline, you know, they perform wudu starting for what would be considered a normal hairline, the boundaries. All right. And so, and the format for washing the face is remember what we said? Anybody?
Mm-mm.
All right. So it's basically
Like
from the
this?
hairline down to the jaw bones,
Right here.
side to side.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and making sure you cover every part.
Mhm.
All right. The hands up to the elbows. So past the elbows actually. And wiping the head in the Shafi school, what is considered wiping the head?
At least a quarter of the head.
Or one part of the head, or it's just one part, or one part that extends from where the limit, what you call it, the limit, you know, so in the area of the head. So not just wiping a piece of hair on the bottom, but where the head is from here into the back of the nape of the neck, at least part of that area you have to wipe as a minimum. All right. The feet, including the ankles. All right. And that also includes between the toes. And we also mentioned that everything that prevents proper application must be removed, like fingernail, toenail polish, and anything that creates a barrier between the skin and the water. All right. And then we said tartib.
Yeah.
Put them in order. All right. So another thing we want to cover, we covered the 5 rulings of the sacred law. So when we talk about fiqh, which is the second part of this, what we're doing with Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. So Islam covers fiqh. What is the meaning of fiqh?
Understanding or
Understanding, or more specific, a meaning that we gave previously. Ruling. Go ahead.
The duties of the body.
Yeah, the rule is related to the actions of the body.
Actions of the body, yes.
Okay. And Akida is related to the actions of what?
The mind.
Right. And Ihsan is the actions of
the heart.
Right. Okay, good. All right, so we left off the 5 rulings. We said sacred law, the actions of the body, that each ruling that we have to follow in Islamic law fall under these 5. You remember what they are? Okay.
Fard. I know one is fard.
Manzub.
Yes.
Manzub. All right, so for fard, what's another word that's interchangeable for fard?
Wajib.
Wajib. Okay, they both mean the same thing. All right, and we said mandub, and another word.
Recommended.
Yeah, but not just mandub, but what else? Another word that you might find in other schools. That means the same as mandub.
What it starts with
Mustahab.
Mustahab, yes.
Gosh, I couldn't get it.
Okay, the next one.
Mubah.
Mubah, or permissible. All right, makruh.
Makruh.
What does it mean?
Makruh. What does it mean? What does makruh mean? Makruh means that
I slipped up and gave you the answer, but so now you got to
did. I know, because when you said it, I was like, yes, he gave us.
Yeah. Gave you one.
Makruh means that there's a reward for not doing it, and a reward for there's a punishment for doing it and a reward for not doing it.
No, makruh is a reward for leaving it off out of obedience to Allah, and not punished if performed.
Right.
But it is disliked or offensive.
Say it again.
But it is disliked or offensive, right?
Yeah, but it's not no punishment necessarily.
Right?
Huh?
But it's not a sin.
Yeah. No, it's not necessarily a sin. It's just something that's disliked, but you can really find something that connects it to Allah's obedience.
Yeah.
All right. Because something that's a sin that's specific, it has a specific punishment connected to it.
Yeah.
All right. And the last one is
haram.
or haram. What's the other word we use?
Muharram.
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 Yeah. All right. So let's go through the meanings of these. So fard or wajib, which means obligatory, and what's the other meaning of it? What happens if you do something that's fard or wajib? That's obligatory.
If you don't do it, it's a sin. If you do, or if you leave it off, it's a sin. But when you perform it, you get a reward. But it's a
You're rewarded for performing it, but you're punished for not performing. Not just that
Yes.
it's a sin, you're punishment for not performing it. An example like that is for the salat or any of the 5 pillars.
Mhm.
All right. Mandub or mustahab or recommended. And what's the ruling on that? What's the
It's a reward if you do it, but it's no punishment if you don't do it.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we gave an example like the 2 sunnahs before Fajr.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we said mubah is something that's permissible or allowed or neutral. And what's the meaning of that?
You said for which one?
Mubah.
If you leave it off, it's it's no sin on you. But if you do it, it's a reward.
It's like an equal, no harm
Yeah.
or good, like either or, right?
Mm.
Whether you perform it or not, it is equal and is rewarded with good intention.
Okay.
All right. So, for instance, something like eating garlic and onions,
Mm.
right? There's no specific reward for it, performing it. But if you do it with good intention, you like to maybe try to take care of your health or something like that, and then you get a reward for it.
So what about because it keeps confusing me, but so
Okay.
like if you do like the Monday, Thursday, that would be
mustahab, right?
Yes, these would be mandub or mustahab.
okay.
So there's a reward for doing them and no punishment if you leave them off.
Got it.
But out of love for the Prophet.
You say that's more for specifically mustahab or manthub is for like sunnah acts, right? Would that
Yes.
be they classify it?
Yes, all of these are for sunnah acts.
Or sunnah, yeah, but
Yeah, so and it's important to know.
For worship though, right? Would that be mustahab or no?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sorry,
Okay.
I shouldn't ask that.
No, you ask the question that's on your mind. I know it. I don't know. I don't know. They say Imam not. They said Imam.
Shit.
Say it again.
Actual teacher.
I will. They say Imam Malik, a man came to Medina one time, a long journey, to ask him some questions. He said out of 40-something questions, 32 of them, he said, I don't know.
Oh, mashallah.
And so the man was like, basically, Imam Malik, like, come on, man, like, I travel all this way. You the scholar of Medina. What do you mean you don't know? He said, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you something I don't know, and I don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And then we said makruh is offensive or disliked. And what's the meaning of that?
It's offensive or disliked, but it's no punishment. You reward it for leaving it off.
Mm-hmm. And that same example for garlic and onions is something that we can use too. Because like it's mubah, it's permissible to eat garlic and onions, but it's makruh to pray or next to someone and that smell is coming off of you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Okay, and the last one is haram. And what's the ruling on that?
It's unlawful. It's unlawful. And it's a punishment.
Yeah.
There's reward for leaving it off out of obedience to Allah and punish if performed. So for instance, something like zina or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so is that good for review or?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me just get this. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Let's see now. Let me get this other screen up.
Well,
all right, so
I kind of do.
Go ahead.
I kind of do. So like with the wudu, I guess because I'm used to it over 40 years doing it a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this sounds crazy, but can you like just kind of like where you're sitting, show me what's first second, you know what I'm saying? Because I've always done it. Hands, mouth, nose, face, arms, head, back of the neck,
And feet.
ears,
And feet.
and the feet.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, all of
I
those,
just make sure.
the only thing we cover in the difference between that is what is obligatory
Yeah.
and what is sunnah.
Okay. Because
Yeah, some of
I
those,
was like the hands
well,
and the
we,
hands
we,
going to the head. I was like,
yeah, because when we say the head or the face, that's the obligatory part, but the mouth and the nose are sunnah acts.
okay.
So if you just wipe your face once, you cover it, but doing the sunnah is doing your mouth and your nose and the ears and your whole head. So scholars have classified these things up and deeply. So say for instance, there's something where you might be in a situation where you only can do the obligatory acts.
Right.
Or it's like it's a mercy from Allah that in the Shafi school, you only can wipe part of your head sometimes. You might be in a rush, or you might be on a job where they only give you a 15-minute break, or you get a 10-minute window.
For like the sisters, like if we're outside, we can't take our scarves off to make
Right.
we have to wipe.
Exactly. So you could just where the hairline is, you could take a piece of your kimar. I don't want to show because my joint is receding. But you take a piece back and wipe a part of the head. All right. And that will cover you for wudu. But of course, it's better to wipe the whole head because that is the sunnah.
Okay.
All right.
And the neck too, right?
Yes, not in the Shafi school, but I think in the Hanafi school it is.
Because that's what I was gonna. Because my stepfather said we pretty much grew up in a Hanafi school, so I just remember us doing like the neck. So okay.
Well, let me just give you a secret in the Shafi school is that when you go to other schools, you have what's called the you have a rukhsa to follow that school. Like for instance, in the Shafi school, when we recite the basmala for the prayer, we recite it out loud. But if you praying with Hanafis and Malikis, you know, you can, in order to not offend them, don't say it out loud. You could just say it to yourself. So that's the kind of thing, you know. Okay. Because you know, many people who don't know about the schools, they think that it's, you know, following opinions and it causes division. No, it's just following the curriculum and the principle and the preference, really. You know, so one thing you find in one school, you might not find in the other school. It's just like, okay, you know, like it's like a preference where you live at. Up north, this is how we call it soda. Down south, they call it pop. Yeah. It's still a carbonated drink. Yeah. You know, so I mean, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so let me get this.
That was another cool thing to see the different schools praying, and then you saw the different. We all prayed the same but different, if that makes sense. Like that was a cool thing to see, because normally everybody's always saying what you should and shouldn't do, and everybody just prayed. So that like I'm sappy, so I was crying. Like I was like, oh my God, subhanAllah, like that is so cool. So yeah, that was another good thing about the conference that I saw.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's what Ahl Sunnah is. We stick together, even in spite of differences that we have. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's begin, inshallah. So we are week 8. So we did a review discussion, and so now we want to read the text, right from chapter 1 up until where we are. So we're going to try to do it quickly. So we need our efficient readers. Sister Naila, you want to take it?
Sure. And we're going to go up to chapter.
Up until
16. Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sister Naila.
You're welcome. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. All praise belongs to Allah, Lord of the worlds. A praise that matches His gifts and equals His increases. And may Allah send blessings upon our Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and upon his family and companions. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, seeking knowledge is an obligation for every Muslim, male and female. And he said, upon him be peace, whoever takes a path searching for knowledge, Allah will lead him along a path to the garden, al-Jannah. The topics discussed in this book have mainly been abridged from the books of Hujjat al-Islam al-Ghazali. It is our hope that whoever knows them and acts upon them will be placed by Allah among the people of true knowledge, outwardly and inwardly, and success is from Allah. The pillars of Islam. The pillars of Islam are 5. 1, bearing witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of Allah. 2, doing the salat. 3, giving the zakat. 4, fasting Ramadan. 5, making hajj, pilgrimage to the house for whoever is able to. The above are to be done with sincerity and belief. Whoever is not sincere is a munafiq, a hypocrite, and whoever does not believe with his heart is a kafir. Faith in Iman. The reality of Iman is that you are convinced that Allah exists and that He, the Exalted, is one without partner, likeness, or similarity. Nothing is like Him, and He is the all-knowing and all-seeing. He created the heavens and the earth, death and life, obedience and disobedience, health and sickness, and the entire universe and what it contains. He created human beings and their actions and determined their provisions and their lifespans. There can be no increase or decrease in these appointed things. Nothing happens except by His decree, qadar, that it will happen, and His determining, qadar, and His will, irada. He, the Exalted, is living and all-knowing. He wills and is able. He is speaker, hearer, and seer. He is knower of the treachery of the eye and what is hidden in the chest. He knows all secrets and that which is even more hidden. He is the creator of everything and is the one and the Sadur. He, the Exalted, sent our Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his servant and messenger, to the whole of mankind for their guidance, so that they could perfect their lives and complete their return to Him. He helped him with clear miracles. You must also be convinced that He, upon whom be peace and blessings, was truthful in every fact which He conveyed to us from Allah, whether concerning the traverse, sirat, the balance, mizan, the pool, haud, and other matters of the next world and the barzakh, including the questioning by the 2 angels, and the punishment and bliss in the grave. The Quran and all the books that Allah sent down are true. The angels are true, the garden is true, the fire is true, and so is everything else about which our Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed us.
Okay, so before we go to the next session, real quick. So we talk about 3 categories when we talk about Aqidah, or the Allah's attributes. We call them ilahiyat, nubuwat, and sami'iyat. Anybody know what they mean?
Say that one more time.
Ilahiyat, nubuwat, and sami'iyat.
So ilahiyat, because I hear ilah is going to be about maybe his
Godhood, or Allah's
worship,
attributes. Allah's
his worship.
attributes. Yeah.
And then what was the other one?
Nubuwat.
Nubuwat.
Rasul. So
Prophethood.
And then what was the third one?
And sami'iyat.
Allah's lordship.
No,
like
samiyat comes from the word samiyat, hearing.
Hearing.
Or transmitted reports from the prophets, the things that we would not know about, except that the Prophet ﷺ related it to us, or even the previous
down?
Huh?
Should we write that down?
You can. I mean, we're going to cover it in another text, because after we finish this one, I'm going to go into detail in the text about the necessary attributes.
Okay.
So it's just a little review.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't want to go too deep because we can get caught off in the review.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because I was about to ask you a couple of trivia questions, but we're just going to keep going.
What's that? What's the questions? Because you be putting stuff on the test. It's not
right, and then you know what he'll do, Khadijah?
Mm.
He'll be like, nah, that was your homework. And we'll be like, how, bro?
Exactly.
Because I said so, that's how.
How?
It don't even matter.
We never discussed it.
Okay. All right, I got one for you. The Sheikh said that he wants us to be ahlul ilm inwardly and outwardly, and then he said, and tawfiq is from Allah. What is tawfiq here? What does he mean? What is the meaning of tawfiq?
Success, right? Or
success, or
the determining, or is this Allah's will?
The ability to obey Allah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what tawfiq is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's go to the next session. Read that.
16 and 17, or just 16?
Chapter 2, worship. Yeah, read page 16.
All right. Prayer, purity. The obligations for rood of wudu are 6. 1. Intention, niyah. 2. Washing the face. The limits of the face are lengthwise from the place of the normal hairline of the head to the jawbone and in width from ear to ear. 3. Washing both hands and arms up to and including the elbows. 4. Wiping part of the skin of the forehead or the hair that covers it. 5. Washing the 2 feet up to and including the ankles. And 6. Performing the actions in this order.
Performing the action in order is what word again?
Tartib.
Tartib, okay. All right, now, so read up this next part from here, 17 up until 17 and 18.
Okay.
And because this is the section we're going to cover today.
Okay.
Go ahead.
If one is in the state of janabah because of sexual intercourse or the emission of sexual fluid, mani, during sleep or otherwise, it is necessary to wash the whole body with the intention of removing janabah. The emission of anything from the 2 waist passages from front or back nullifies the wudu. Wudu is also lost upon losing control of one's intellect during sleep or otherwise, unless one sleeps sitting down with one's seat firmly fixed on the ground, touching the private parts, front or back, of any human, whether oneself or someone else, and whether adult or child, with the palm of the hand or the inside of the fingers nullifies wudu, even if it be one's own child or a dead person. The touching of the skin of an adult male by an unrelated female and vice versa without any barrier nullifies the wudu. However, touching the nails, hair, or teeth do not nullify the wudu.
Okay, we'll stop there. That's where we're going to stop at.
Okay.
All right, so let's go. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing, before we get into that, we want to talk about the sunnahs of wudu. Remember the book, he's talking about the furud, what is necessary for the wudu, which was 6 obligations we covered. So now we want to cover the sunnahs. All right. So the first one is using the siwak or the miswak. And the siwak is anything that you have to use that's abrasive when you're cleaning your mouth and your teeth. So a toothbrush technically or a rag is considered like a siwak, a miswak, but it's actually like come from a tree of a bark of a tree. All right. So that's sunnah to do that first. The second one is saying Bismillah before you start. You don't have to say it, but of course you can say it. You know, if you're in a place where you're making wudu and there's a bathroom, of course you wouldn't say it out loud. All right, washing the hands up to and including the wrists. All right, that's the sunnah. So that's the same as Khadija that you described. The obligatory part is to go from your hand to your elbows, right? 3 times, but the sunnah is to wash your hands up to the wrist, all right? Up and past the wrist. Okay, the next one is washing the mouth and the nose. So I put these Arabic terms. I don't know if you ever heard these before. So washing the mouth out is called madmada. So it's taking water in the mouth and swishing it around. That's what that word means, madmada. And the rinsing of the nose is istinshaq. Istinshaq. It's taking water to the nose, snuffing it in, and then blowing it out. That's what that's called. All right. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to know these terms right away, but we'll go over them another time. So madmada is what rinsing water in the mouth. All right. And istinshaq is putting water in the nose. So the next sunnah is removing excess water from the washed parts with your hands. So for instance, if you wash your face and you're using water and you cover, then taking your hands and wiping off the extra water, or like on your arms, if you wash your arms and then you take your hands and move the excess water, that is a sunnah.
So would that be the same as drying off or no?
No, we're gonna come to that. And then another sunnah is everything 3 times, and the term is called tatlith, or the word thalatha. Tatlith means to do things 3 times. All right. So in the Shafi school, you do everything 3 times. In other schools, some of you may have learned that you might wipe the head once, or I think they do the feet once or something like that. I'm not sure, but in the Shafi school, everything is done 3 times. Okay. Oh yeah, something I should mention here: washing the mouth and the nose. You could do it either way. Either wash the mouth 3 times in a row, and then the nose, or you can do the mouth and the nose, mouth, nose in one movement.
Okay.
All right. Okay, everybody got that?
Yes.
I never could do that. I always be like sniff water on my brain.
Yeah,
I always got to do like my mouth and then my nose, because if I tried to do both, I don't know what I'll be doing wrong. It's too much.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I don't get
in and I can't get it out. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't do my whole mouth when I do, like when I go the thing. I feel like I'm not doing my whole mouth. So
it's so intense.
Yeah, well, that's why it's probably better to do it individually to make sure you're doing it, because the madmada means like to swish more water around in your mouth to make, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, all right, everybody got that?
Yes.
Yes.
But I had and when I was doing wudu one time, someone said that to wipe the excess, because I was making wudu. I was on what's the name? I was FaceTiming a friend of mine, and I had wiped the excess off my face, and she said, "No, you just invalidated your wudu." So I was like, I'm just saying thank you for that, because I would do that. I would just kind of get the excess off, and she was like, I invalidated my wudu. So
I don't know about invalidated. Maybe that's another school, but
I guess I don't know, but I
never heard that one, but she had to tell you, she had to give you some more info on that. All right, so continue. More sunnahs. Sunnah in the Shafi school is wiping the whole head, as opposed to what is obligatory, that at the bare minimum is wipe part of the head, or the sunnah is to wipe the whole head. So don't let anybody say, oh, the Shafis only wipe part of their head. No, that's just an obligation. And remember, we mentioned that Imam Shafi, he said that he understood from the ayah in the Quran where it says bi ru'usikum, and wipe with your heads, or like he understood the bad and bi ru'usikum to mean like part of the head. All right, because that bad meant it changes everything. Well, Allah could have just said, and wash your heads. All right. Another sunnah is wiping the inner and outer areas of the ears. All right, because as opposed to the obligation to wash the face, which doesn't include the ears, the nose, or the mouth. All right, but when we're doing the sunnah, is wiping the head and the inner and outer parts of the ears. All right, so with your index fingers, the inside, come around, and then the outside with your thumbs. All right.
So I have a question. I don't know if this is not a dumb question, but the fard of the wudu doesn't change from madhab to madhab, just the sunnah of these acts, right?
Just the sunnah. Most of them are basically the same. There's little differences is not nothing to write home about.
But all of the fard that we have, that's going to be the same no matter
what.
Yeah,
the fard is going to be the same across all the schools. All right.
Because that comes from the Quran.
Yeah. So, for instance, some interpretations might be, somebody's trying to get in. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yeah, how you doing, sis?
I feel a little better. I apologize for being late.
All right, no worries. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so yeah, it'll be different in the different schools, but across the board, like for instance, in other schools, they might consider the whole part of the head as being an obligation, but that's neither here nor there. All right. So the other sunnahs is running the hands through the thick beard. Hopefully this don't apply to none of y'all. But so we mentioned the week before, is that if he has hair on his face, If his skin can be seen, then he doesn't have to run hair through his beard. But if he has a thick beard where you can't see the skin on his jawbone, then he should rub water through his beard to make sure his whole face gets wet. So, but it's a sunnah to run your hands through your beard. Okay, washing between the fingers is sunnah. All right, and you know what's so great about this stuff is how the ulama really paid attention to these details, and they got these details from the Sahabas who got it from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Like they watched everything that he did, like intensely, you know, and that's how you got all these different reports. You know what I'm saying? All right, so going beyond the areas of washing, which is called itala. All right, and that means, for instance, if you're going past you wash your forearms up to the elbows, including the elbows, going beyond the elbows, like up, where you're going, that's called itala. And this is taken from the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the people who they will have these traces of whiteness on their face, and the Prophet ﷺ will be able to recognize them. And it said, who will they be? The people who were making wudu. They will have bright faces. The word in Arabic comes from this word itala. I don't remember the hadith offhand, but it's talking about those who are going excessive in their wudu. All right. So of course, like if you're going up to your wrist, you go your wrist, include your wrist, but to this itala means they even go a little past that. All right. And then rubbing the limbs, all right, which is called adak. Rubbing the limbs. So now, there's a difference between washing and then rubbing. All right. So washing, you rubbing like you rubbing instead of just pouring. Washing is like pouring water over a limb. But rubbing the limb is sunnah. All right. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So I can go on.
Yes.
Okay. And then a couple more sunnahs. Something that's called mawala. It's succession. Doing each act one right after the other. So what they mean by this is that there's no break in doing the wudu. And even though if there happens to be a break, it's still, the wudu is still valid. But you should do it in succession. And what they mean by mawala, like before one limb gets a chance to dry, you do the other one. So for instance, you can, say if you do your hands and something happens, you might answer the phone and then you come back to your forearms, you shouldn't do that. You should do it one right after the other.
So you shouldn't start over?
No, you don't have to start over. You don't have to start over. It's sooner to doing one right after the other. This is not an obligation. You know what I mean? You only have to start over if there was something that you missed. Or not even start over. You start over from where you were sure that that you were uncertain about. So for instance, you washed your face and you did all this, and then you stopped at your arms, and that's where you're not sure. Then you should start from there and then complete the rest. And then in the Shafi school, if you do everything, you complete it, and you feel like you completed it, and then comes to your mind some doubt, then you don't have to go back.
Okay.
So because all of this is to remove the doubt. So if you sure, or if you felt like that you completed everything, and then later on, oh, did I do my nose? Or if you already completed the action, that's okay. But in the midst of it, say if you did your face, mouth, nose, did you get to your arm and you can't remember you did your nose, then you should go back and start at your nose and then continue.
Okay.
All right. But all of these should be done like one right after the other. And what they mean is by before one part gets to dry, you do the other part. All right. And also a sunnah is called isti'ana, which means not using assistance, such as someone pouring the water for you. So it's okay if somebody does do that, but it's a sunnah to like do it yourself because, there's just a reward for doing that, And then the last one in the Shafi school, which is a sunnah, is to air dry. So once you complete your wudu, that you let it dry naturally without any towels or any other anything else. So not saying you have to do that, because of course common sense says you somewhere and it's cold, You know, you don't just come outside in 20-degree weather and oh, I'm doing the sunnah. No, the sunnah is not supposed to be a hardship. So. But in normal weather, you just let it air dry. It's better to do that. But if not, there's no invalidation or nothing like that. All right. All right. Everybody got that?
Would you say
That
that's
was about-
called?
Huh?
Would you say that's called?
What, air drying?
Uh-huh.
No, it's just called air drying.
No, when somebody you said someone.
No, it's called isti'ana, assistance.
Oh, okay.
Isti'ana means assistance. So not using assistance is sunnah, to not have anyone help you do it.
Okay. Okay, I got it.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we'll review this too next week, inshallah.
Okay.
All right. All right, so the next one is, and also a sunnah, is the dua once you complete the wudu.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows the dua?
No.
I said, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير.
Yeah, you went overboard. But that's good. That's good.
That's good. Get it.
It might be another narration. I'm not sure, but
You say after wudu?
Yeah, you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu.
Well, that's
okay,
I know talking about with the hadith though, Imam.
Say it again.
I said the extra that you said went like if you overextend.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong because these are just basic. Remember, this is a basic book, and I'm doing the class assuming that people might not know this stuff. But with my erudite scholars that I have present today, I might even be wasting your time.
Get out of here.
Never.
Not even.
All right. So this is the dua. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad abduhu wa rasuluhu. And then the other part is Allahumma ij'alni min at-tawwabin waj'alni min al-mutatahhirin.
That's the part I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go over it not maybe at the end of the class or next week, or we'll review it every week or something till we get it. Allahumma ij'alni
Allahumma ij'alni
min at-tawwabin waj'alni min al-mutatahhirin.
من المتطهرين
متطهرين.
Allahumma
ij'alni من التوابين واجعلني من المتطهرين. I know that's a mouthful, but we'll get it. Let's do it one more time. Allahumma ij'alni من التوابين واجعلني من المتطهرين. Okay, maybe I'll make a recording of it and send it to you all, and then you could just repeat it, inshallah.
Yes, inshallah.
Okay. All right. All right. So this is the dua, which is a sunnah to say after you complete the wudu. All right. Any questions?
No.
Did I miss anything?
Yeah.
I missed a lot.
Yeah, coming in at 11:37, and we start at 11. You missed quite a bit. We'll send you the link to pay the fee, inshallah.
No problem.
Okay.
My mom called, and I had to talk to my mom. She's kind of.
I know. I mean, I know you got the money. Ain't no problem. So yeah, we got it.
Yeah, right. My mom, she's kind of upset with me. Like, Mom, I'm not.
Brother
anymore. I can't walk out. I can't walk to Centerville every day.
What's up, sis?
I can't walk to Centerville every day, and
we got this
I'm
soup popping
67 years old. I'm like,
Okay. Okay, inshallah, let's continue. All right. All right, so now the Sheikh talks about when the person is in a state of janabah, which is a state of impurity. Okay. So a state of janabah is a state of major impurity or defilement which comes from sexual intercourse. All right. All right. Someone, can you mute your mic until if you need to speak, because we are recording this. All right. So he mentions if a person is in a state of janabah in the text. Now we're going to cover what janabah is. So janabah is sexual intercourse, and it has two levels, which is lower and higher. So the lower level in the Shafi school is when the head of the man's private part enters the woman's private part. That is the lower level. And the higher level is when the man's entire private part enters the woman's private part. All right. So in both of those situations, they require ghusl. Both of those situations is considered a state of janabah. All right. And whether a person emits a fluid or not. So if a man's part of his private part enters into a woman, that is considered a state of janabah, or if it's fully entered, then that is also considered a state of janabah, whether a person ejaculates or not, at least in the Shafi school. I think in other schools, I'm not sure, but if a person ejaculates, then that's considered janabah. But in the Shafi school, if the parts, touch like that, where they connect. But anything else less than that does not require ghusl, meaning like if the private parts just touch like against each other, or like sleeping together naked or something like that. Okay. That's not a requirement of a ghusl.
Mm-hmm. I'll wait until the recording to copy everything. I usually go back and listen and record.
Okay. But well, you had a question or something, or?
No. I was saying no, because I know you usually ask us if we're ready, and I'm just saying that I don't want to be the spokesperson because I always wait.
It's too late for that. You've already got that job. You can't take it back now.
I'm just saying because I just wait until the recording. I listen, and then I go back the next day and listen to the recording and write everything down so I can.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
So that's why I'm saying I shouldn't be the spokesperson because I'm always ready.
Okay. All right. So everybody got that? Can we move on, or?
Yes.
All right. Sister Kalima, you good?
I'm good.
All right. So when we talk about the state of janabah and three types of fluid that are emitted from the body. So the first one is when he mentions in the text, it's called the mani. So the mani was defined as the seminal fluid that exits with force, which is an ejaculation. All right. And then the other type of fluid is called the madi, which is the pre-seminal fluid that doesn't exit with force, and it comes from arousal. And then there's a third one. I don't know if you're familiar. It's called wadi. It's like a thick fluid, but it's not urine. Sometimes it comes out after a person urinates, or sometimes something exits after someone lifts something heavy. Mm. All right. So this takes the same ruling as urine, and that means you will have to remove it as an impurity. So the first one, the mani, is the only one where you have to make a ghusl. And the other one, you just have to clean yourself and make wudu. That removes it as an impurity. The other two.
Now, what's the third one called?
It's called wadi.
Wadi.
Yeah, so it's not something that.
The only one with the ghusl?
Yeah, mani is the only one where if that happens, it exits with force, or when the person is sleeping. So a wet dream. Either through intercourse or through a wet dream. That's called mani. Madi is the pre-seminal fluid that before comes from arousal, or that one doesn't require a ghusl, but it requires like cleaning the part where it is and making wudu, like if you're going to do any acts of worship. And wadi also is has the same ruling as urine, that you purify yourself from it, and wudu will remove it. All right, is that clear?
Yes.
So mani is the only one that requires a ghusl. All right. So that's when you're in a state of janabah. And the minor impurity we're going to cover in the next slide is called hadath. Minor impurities mean when you pass gas, urine, or number 2, these are called hadath, minor impurities. They are removed by, of course, istinja, and making wudu, but they don't require ghusl. All right. In other words, you wipe till you see white, but we use water. All right. Any questions on that?
No.
No.
All right. So now we're talking about what is the state of janabah for women. So the first one is the haid, which is the menstruation. And the menstruation for a woman, according to the Shafi school, is that it is from a minimum of 24 hours to a maximum of 15 days. And of course, the average cycle for a woman is 6 to 7 days. All right. So that is called haid, or the menstruation or cycle. All right, the second one for women, these are all states of janabah, which is nifas, or postnatal bleeding, which is from a minimum of 40 days and a maximum of 60 days. And then the next one we have what's called just childbirth, which is wulud, when a woman has a child, and it varies according to when a woman has a child because it's different stages. As my wife told me, I'm not that familiar with women's issues because I'm not a woman. Sorry. And I don't identify as one either. So,
Well, thank you.
Not one of your pronouns.
Huh?
We got that
Not one of your
clear.
pronouns.
I ain't got no pronouns.
But wait a minute. At the conference, you said that you were what?
I was joking. The conference is over. The conference is over.
It's being recorded now, right?
Yeah, mashallah. I'll clarify when the time comes. All right. So outside of this, when a woman bleeds, like if anything below the minimum 24 hours for haid or over 15 days is called istihada, which is something that's irregular bleeding. So for instance, if a woman has some bleeding and it doesn't reach a day and a night, so it's not considered haid, it's a regular bleeding. And if it's past 15 days and a woman is still bleeding, it's called istihada. And that's for menstruation. For postnatal bleeding, if it's something she stops bleeding for the minimum of 40 days, then it's istihada. And if it's more than 60 days after postnatal bleeding, it is istihada. It's no longer nifas. Right. So nifas is the same thing as childbirth, but childbirth is basically is different. It's a little different. All right, is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are we going to talk about this later? Because when you do have the irregular bleeding, because some women do bleed in between cycles, or they bleed longer periods, or then that's when they should just go ahead and make the wudu and pray, right? Because the bleeding is considered
it's considered istihada.
Necessarily from that particular thing, right?
Yeah, if it's below this minimum period and past the maximum period, then it's considered istihada. So she could go ahead and pray, because it's not either one of those. Because if it's within those time frames, then that means it is a state of janabah for the woman. So she can't pray during those times or fast. All right. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so I thought I had forgot. Anything below the minimum past the maximum is considered istihada, or regular bleeding. And just the same thing as Tar has said, that a woman, she would go ahead and just pray normally, and of course purify herself. All right, so the next one is the pillars of ghusl. All right, and the pillars of ghusl are 2 in the Shafi school. The first one is to have the intention, and we know acts of worship, they have to have a specific intention. So you have to say that I'm making ghusl for, removing, or for Jumu'ah or something like that. And the other pillar is washing the entire body. The other pillar is washing the entire body. So those are the obligations for a ghusl. And then you have the intention to wash the entire body to remove the impurities, which is different from taking a bath or a shower. So a person just can't take a regular bath or shower and say, okay, I made ghusl. I purify myself from nifas or haid or a state of janabah. All right. So when a person has a state of janabah, they have to purify themselves this way by making the intention to remove those impurities and washing the entire body. All right. And the entire body is washed, and with the sunnahs, you recite the basmalah or to say bismillah, to perform wudu, to pour water over the head, and to start with the right side, then the left side. All right. So how you perform a ghusl is if you're in a state of janabah and you need to purify yourself, you will clean the private parts from either the semen or blood or anything like that is considered janabah. And then you can make wudu. You say the bismillah. You perform wudu, which is a sunnah. So, for instance, if you make ghusl and you don't perform the sunnah or the wudu during the ghusl is still valid as a ghusl. So you can do everything. You can do all of those things if you just perform the ghusl. All right. So, for instance,
do you have to pour water over your head?
Yes, pour water is a sunnah.
I'm just saying, because I mean, just make sure like it gets to your scalp.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, like I mean, like put your hands, through your scalp, because
don't get your hair done.
No, I'm okay. Yeah, because I'm trying not to. I mean, I don't know,
right?
Because it's not that like the thickness. Like if you have lots,
as best as you can. As best as you can.
Yeah. I mean, people have different hair textures too.
That's what I was trying to say.
So your hands may not run through your hair. Everybody is not.
Pouring the water over the head should cover reaching the scalp. But you still try to make sure that it reaches the scalp if you can. Then you wash your right side of your body front and back, and the left side of your body front and back.
That's a dilemma for women. I'm sorry. That putting the head though.
I mean, y'all got to stop wearing them weaves and stuff like that. All right.
All right.
Any questions? Any questions on that?
No.
All right. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So, forbidden acts when you're in a state of impurity. We've mentioned that there's a major impurity, which is janabah, and the minor impurity is called hadath. All right, so minor impurities is when you use the bathroom or anything like that. The things that you can't do is you can't pray, you can't make tawaf if you're in a state of minor impurity. If you can't make sujood, and you also can't touch or carry the actual Quran, the mushaf, the actual Quran itself. All right, and here we put carrying it in a bag is not included. So, for instance, say if you got a book bag or a pocketbook, and you have a mushaf in it, and you're not in wudu, you can carry that inside the bag, but you just can't touch it with your actual hands. There's different views about in our times where we're using all of these gadgets of whether you if you have the Quran on your phone or some type of device. There's different views on that.
I mean, because technically that's not the actual mushaf, right?
So we can't.
Yeah, but if you're touching, I don't know, I would go with the view that if you're touching with a touch screen actual words of Allah, then I would be in wudu.
So if you're a female, for instance, if we're in the the state of the monthly stuff,
you shouldn't touch the mushaf,
and we can't read it either.
You can recite the Quran.
You can recite the
Quran in the state of hadath, in minor impurity, but you can't touch the mushaf.
Okay.
Right. And then in the major impurity, which is janabah, which we just covered, all of the things that we mentioned above is forbidden. And then there's addition, reciting the Quran in major in the state of janabah. Like if you're in a minor impurity, you can recite the Quran, but in major impurity, like if you're on your cycle and stuff, you can't recite the Quran. And staying in the masjid, right? And of course, fasting and intercourse is forbidden acts for the woman who has the haid or the nifas. And they can't have intercourse during those times. And of course, when the woman has the haid or the nifas, they don't have to pray. But if they have to make up the days of fasting or the days where they're on the cycle.
So I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I don't know if this has always been a difference of opinion or sunnah or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But when the woman is on her cycle, right? You're saying staying in the masjid. So is that actually going in the masjid, or is that the actual being on the musalla where people pray? Because I know that you shouldn't sit where people pray.
In the Shafi school, you shouldn't go in there at all.
You shouldn't go in. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
And then so I don't know if it's a different school or not, but I was just recently told that you have to make up the salat that you miss when you're on your cycle.
No.
And I know that, but I'm just saying that
No.
like it was somebody, very close to me was like, I never knew we had to make them up. And I was like, we don't have to
No.
make that.
What
You have
school
to make up your fast.
She's of the other.
What's the other? There's a couple of them.
I know. I'm just that,
Old
and
school.
that's all I'm gonna say because I'm not
Old school, new school, no school rules.
Yeah, I was
She's
just
from-
like, I never heard that before at all.
She sounds like she's from the no school.
I'm just saying, it's just the other.
No, you have to make up the days for fasting, but not the salat. So that's like another mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
That's what I thought.
That's that Quran only school stuff.
Yeah.
That's
that might be it. Yeah, that's the no school. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any questions on this?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I was told that before that I had to make up my I mean it might be different because that was back in my cell a few days. That's another story. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we're gonna put you on the interview one day to talk about that. On the Black Man's Roundtable.
Mashallah.
All right, so now the next off that. So the next section is the invalidators of the wudu. All right, so in the book he mentions that anything that exits for certain from the two passages, front or back, whatever it might be, normal or abnormal. So that means, gas, urine, blood, pus, or even something like gallstones, anything that exits from the front and the back for certain. So that in the Shafi school, for instance, you hear your stomach rumbling, and if nothing exits, then it doesn't invalidate your wudu. But sometimes you get the bubble guts you can't hold it. So you got to do a Martin Payne.
Oh goodness.
All right, so that invalidates the wudu, anything that exits for certain from the two passages. And then also he mentions 4 things in the book. So losing senses, either by sleeping or things similar like having a seizure, being inebriated, or loss of sanity. Anything these are considered losing the senses. And the only exception that a person has in the Shafi school is they are firmly seated on something where their 2 buttocks are on the ground, and whether the ground or in a car, bus, train, chair, anything like that, where you're seated upright and you might just be nodding off, as long as there's no indication of anything certain exiting from the 2 passageways, then a person is still considered in wudu. All right. Okay, the
So
next
that
one.
sleeping, I mean that sleeping is really more sleeping when lying down
No, sleeping while lying down.
or
No,
sitting up.
only this is you sitting up with your two buttocks on,
Right.
on something solid. That's considered. That's the exception. Well, if you're
But
lying down, go ahead.
I mean, but people can sleep pretty deep if they're sitting up, depending on the person.
But yeah, normally you
Okay.
usually not know where you can still kind of wear you in and out. I'm talking
Okay.
about normally, because one of the things is that it's highly unlikely that something would pass through your two parts while you're sitting up without you being aware of it. You follow what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is touching the private parts front or back with the palm and the inside of the fingers, or touching what is one's own private parts or the parts of others, which includes a child or a dead person. All right.
Well, every time you clean a baby's diaper, you got to make a wudu again?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So wait.
I never knew that.
In the Shafi school.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Most times when you're cleaning a baby, it's with a wipe. So would that be considered a barrier? Or is that going too deep, or you should just make wudu?
That's a barrier.
So you should just make wudu then still, just to be on the safe side.
You can. I mean
most times when you touch it, clean a child, it's usually because you're.
Yeah, well, this is talking about touching skin to skin.
Oh,
okay, gotcha.
With the palm and inside of the fingers.
Right.
Okay.
And some of the scholars have said, if you clap your hands like this, whatever is visible, that's what that's permissible to use to touch. But whatever you can see, which is the palm and inside your fingers, that's what you would invalidate. But the backhand and the fingers, and this is talking about skin to skin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So if in case you're touching the child, and then some of them say touching the actual private parts. Meaning, like if you actually touch your private part, and then like in the back, like if you actually touch your anus, not like your the surrounding parts.
Gotcha.
And pubic hairs. And remember, these are just principles in the Shafi school because the author of the book was a Shafi scholar who followed the Shafi school. All right.
Yes.
All right, and then the last thing is, this is one I guess is controversial with other schools, is touching the actual skin of an adult female by an adult male and vice versa without a barrier. And that means actual skin to skin touching. And this means what is considered as between adults that is mature and normal. And this is also included between husband and wife in the Shafi school. And I know some other schools said that if you touch with the intent of some type of desire, that will break your wudu. But in the Shafi school, it's just general. If you touch with the inside of your palm and your fingers, the actual skin, even if it's your spouse, then that will invalidate your wudu.
You mean the private part?
No, then it's no touching the actual skin. Private part is something different. We covered that in the first one. Actual touching with skin to skin.
Oh, you mean for not? It doesn't mean for those who are. I didn't read all of it. Sorry.
All right.
So if
That's not. That just means if that's not your mahram.
Right.
Got you. I'm sorry. I read it wrong.
So, for instance, if I grab you with both of these palms, like, baby, I love you. You know what I mean? Like I usually do.
Oh my God.
Then that would break my wudu. Right.
Oh.
And then
I mean, not all, but
yeah.
So I can't even like walk down the street and hold a hand. That breaks your wudu. If you walk down
in the Shafi school is a principle.
Okay.
Maybe in other schools you might want to use that concession.
But you can't go back and forth.
No, you shouldn't. But in certain cases, it's okay. Like, if you follow school as a principle, you don't follow it like to the point where nothing else matters. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Those are people who follow like what they call that. Like you shouldn't go back and forth generally, but in certain cases, you can use a rule in another school because they're all valid.
Mm-hmm.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like just don't pick and choose whenever you want. Like, oh, today I'm going to be Maliki, and tomorrow I'm a father. No, just stick to your principles. And when a situation presents itself, and you might need to know a ruling of another school, because one of the meanings of fiqh is to make a way out for the worshiper,
Yes.
to give ease for the worshiper in situations, you know. So in the book, it mentions that touching someone who is ajnabi. Ajnabi means, which means strange or foreign, or someone that is permissible to marry. So, you know, if you touch someone of the opposite sex with your hand, the palm and the inside of the fingers, this will invalidate your wudu. And we're talking about actual skin again. We're talking about skin to skin contact. All right. And this doesn't include someone who is your mahram, someone that you can never marry because of blood relations. So if a mother touches her son or a father touches the daughter with their open hand, skin to skin, that doesn't invalidate the wudu. All right. So are there any questions?
No.
Okay, so let me get this off the screen. All right. All right, so that ends our presentation for today. So no, we don't have any questions? Any?
No.
All right, so we'll review some of that next week. So just go up into that part, read, and remember the goal of this class is for all of you to be able to go through this book with an understanding. You can be able to teach it to someone else, and you'll be able to orally say that, you know, mention the book. So for instance, you'll be like, okay, this is a book. It's called Ar-Rislah al-Jami'ah. You know what the translation is. You know who the author is. That's not something you would have to say to a new Muslim. You would start with chapter 1, you know, the pillars of Islam, you know, and teach them. And then, you know, you have to believe in these with ikhlas and tasdeeq. And then give them a brief explanation. What is ikhlas? What is sincerity? What is tasdeeq? Tasdeeq, it is belief in the heart, confirmation, right? And whoever doesn't have these, you know, knowing all of that stuff up until where we are. So I'm looking forward to all of you being able to orally present this book to somebody, like if you're teaching a new Muslim. All right.
Inshallah.
All right. So that's why every week we read the text from the beginning to be familiar with it, because at the end of the class, all you have to orally kind of run it back. You know that, right?
Yes.
All right. So I hope y'all working on it.
No, yes.
Yeah. So, and you know, I have an ulterior motive with this, so that way when people are ready to take shahada, they don't have to call me.
You see, that's
because
it.
I got
Get
three.
your husband, sis. Get your
I got
husband.
5 people here that can just be ready to give somebody a shahada and explain for them from A to Z what it is, the basics. You know. So,
I'm telling them.
you know, they
call
always
the
calling
imam.
me like, "Can you get somebody shahada?"
I'm not the imam.
Yeah. You ain't got to be the imam to get shahada. No, it's not.
Get him, sis. Get him, sis.
The imam's job is to lead the prayer. That's what imam
Mashallah.
means. Only, really, if you want to get technical. You
That
know.
in the Shafi school.
Huh? There's nothing in the Shafi school that
I
said the
have to ask your
imam has to
teacher,
give
brother.
shahada.
I have to confer with your teacher, brother.
Yeah, I will. You check with him. All right. So any questions?
No.
Okay, so inshallah we'll resume next week from here. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it. Just review the chapter of the furud of the wudu and the invalidators of the wudu. What is janabah? What is major impurity? What is minor impurity? All of those things that we covered, and then we'll review it next week, inshallah. Okay, so there are no more questions. We're in here. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.